Welcome to Blackbriar Gaming. We have the official reveal of the Plastic Sicaran that we saw leaks of from the Horus Heresy event last weekend. It is so nice to see the workhorse of the Horus Heresy get a release in plastic, and I will 100% be including this kit in my upcoming Alpha Legion army. But while I was impressed with the miniature, I couldn't help but be just a tad disappointed. Just a quick note before we get into it. As we're a new channel, a subscribe and a like really helps us reach a bigger audience. So if you enjoy the video, please hit those buttons down below. So, what have we come from? Before the Plastic Sicaran, we had the Resin Sicaran. We don't have it anymore, not available from Forge World anymore. Once that went out, we knew this plastic one was coming. So the old model, look, it was resin and all the issues that come with a big, bulky resin tank, warping, pieces not matching up, just putting it together, bit of a nightmare. Not as bad as other kits, sure, but certainly not something that one would look forward to. So we've come from that. The cost, hugely expensive. We're talking, from memory, 190 Australian dollars for the Resin Sicaran. This one we expect will be less. We'll get into that in a minute. And lastly, limited options for its hull weapons, for its sponson weapons. You certainly won't getting the amount of options that we see in this plastic kit coming up. So what we have now, let's get into it. So this is obviously a plastic kit. I've said the word plastic at least 10 times already. What that means for detail, you're going to see a lot sharper detail with this thing. You're going to see far less mistakes, no warping, nothing like that. Nothing being left off detail perspective that you often get with Forge World resin models. So that's really nice. And it looks fantastic. And you can see the sharpness of the model in comparison. Price, we're probably looking at this costing about 50 to 60% of what the old model did. I'm expecting it to be about 110 Australian dollars. Might be up at the 130 mark. We'll have to wait and see. We get some really good sponson weapon options. Not only do we get the Volkite culverins, which everyone's really excited about, we also get the heavy bolters, the las cannons that we can see in all the pictures. We also get heavy flamers, which is really cool. So the salamanders, super chuffed about that one. And then you've got choice of combi weapons on top of that. You've got Havoc Launcher, Multi-Melter, Heavy Bolter, or Heavy Flamer as pintle-mounted weapons, which is really nice. No mention of the hull-mounted weapon there. It may be that the Heavy Bolter is still the only choice that we can chuck in there. We'll have to wait and see on that one. That's my assumption that it will be. We'll wait and see. So, plenty of options, lots of weapons coming in here. Those culverins in particular as sponsor weapons, both the Iron Warriors and Emperor's Children that we've seen their rules teased over the last couple of days are going to be super excited about that. And I reckon I'll be chucking those on the side of my tanks just because it feels like such a heresy weapon and it looks so cool. It's got that real Dark Age kind of feel about it. I'm into it. I'm slapping it on. So this thing is almost identical to the resin model. I looked at them both side by side and it was so hard to see any differences. There's small little shape differences with some of the smaller panels that you see adorning the front there. We're talking almost nothing, right? You'd be very hard pressed to look at both miniatures and find any differences, which I'm really happy about. There might be some people that say, look, they had an opportunity to freshen this thing up and make it a little more interesting. Totally unnecessary, in my opinion. The Sicaran, as it was, great miniature, great tank. It's got that simplicity to it that really matches the Heresy style. And GW have given a nod to this and a nod to the fans to keep that simplicity in this model, just part for part, almost identical to the old one. And that's really great. They could have blinged it up much like they have the Kratos. They could have added in all those token details, those extra little bits and pieces, but they didn't. They kept it true to its roots, kept it true to simplicity, and I'm really happy about that. I think it's a great move. But look, while I absolutely love this kit and am super excited about it, I'm also just a tad disappointed. I think there's some missed potential here. There are multiple tanks with wonderful and outlandish main weapons that use the Sicaran as a base. Specifically here, I'm talking about the Arcus Strike Tank, the Omega Tank Destroyer, and the Punisher Assault Tank, all relatively recent additions to the Heresy line. And I say relatively, some of these are 4 or 5 years old probably by now. Who knows? I'm not particularly keeping count. But yeah, certainly a lot newer than the original Sicaran. And there's even more tanks that essentially use a backwards Sicaran as a base. So we're talking about the Legion Aquila Bombard here, and the three different flavors of that tank, where they've almost, and they haven't, look, there are slightly different details, but they've almost, and they could, turn the Sicaran around, move that kind of, that front panel, where it's got the vision slit, move that to the other side of the Sicaran, and you've got yourself an Aquila Bombard. They could have so easily done some things with this kit to allow you to turn it backwards if you wanted to, and that would have been just inspiring. And it feels like with a bit of creativity, GW could have included some of the options of the kit for making these other tanks. So not only giving you the option to turn it backwards for the Bombard style tank, but also including some more of these main weapons. So we've got the big autocannon, the accelerator autocannon on the top, but geez, wouldn't it be nice if we had some of those other big weapon pieces for some of the other Sicaran models. 40k does it all the time. So the Tower Line is a perfect example. The Hammerhead tank or your Riptide, great examples of them including big, chunky, multiple weapon options for those kits within the one kit, right? And I don't see why we couldn't have had one or maybe even two other big weapon options come in this kit. And look, maybe I'm being a bit greedy, but geez, it would have been nice. I do get that sprue space is limited, and they probably wanted to keep the cost of this tank down. We'll wait and see on that one. But it would have been nice to see something a bit extra here, and just given the players access to more of those more esoteric heresy tanks. At a minimum, it would be really nice, and I feel like Forge World kind of owe us this one, to make those main weapon mounts of the other tanks, so just the top bits, available separately so that we can chuck them on top of our new beautiful Plastic Sicaran. So let's hope that happens, because I'm not overly keen once this plastic one comes out and we're treated with working with plastic to be buying those $200 big chunky resin models just so I can run the different Sicaran models. So that's my thought on this new Plastic Sicaran. Looks like a stunner of a new kit. I will definitely be picking one up. But it just feels like there's some missed potential here to make some of the other tank models and to just allow the fans to be a bit more creative and a bit more diverse in the tanks that they run. And that brings us to the end of our Heresy Chats for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments which Sicaran model you think is best. Make sure to keep rolling those dice and getting hyped for Heresy.